Hello and welcome to the show. Today we have Rajiv Lamba. He's the founder and CEO of Neurosensum and SurveySensum. He's a seasoned market research expert, and he firmly believes in building quality leaders for tomorrow. Some of his clients are Mercedes, BMW, Nissan, Honda, Allianz Insurance, Manulife Insurance, and well, I'm sure there's many more. So, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Benjamin, for inviting me to the show. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. So, how did you get into this journey of getting into SurveySensum?
So, I've been in the field of market research or consumer research in the last 18 years. I started my journey as a consultant. I've worked in some of the consulting companies before. And in 2018, we started our own venture, where we started as a consulting brand, which is called Neurosensum, which is a neuroscience-based consulting. And then over time, we realized that there's a big need of a good omni-channel customer feedback platform or a software, which clients can use internally, because for every issue, they can't go to a consulting company because consulting is expensive. So clients were asking us to provide a good software, which a survey platform, which they can integrate with their ecosystem, which can also understand the native languages. And that's how SurveySensum came into picture in 2020.
So, when you say native languages, do you mean like it's available in multiple different like world languages, or what do you mean when you explain native languages?
It's surveys in the native language using SurveySensum. So you can do right from a Thai to a Mandarin to a Hindi or Malay or Bahasa Indonesia, whichever language that you want. It's not limited there. We also created a local NLP engine, which has been trained into multiple languages. So when you send a survey and ask people why you're not happy, and they give you a textual data, so ratings are relatively easy to be captured. But when you ask them why, and they start typing the textual data, our platform can read that entire textual data and can give you a real-time summary of that text. That's where the AI element comes in. So our platform has been trained to read multiple languages so that you don't have to manually code the data.
Oh, okay.
It can read this entire, it's called text and sentiment analysis. And it can give you a real-time summary of what customers are writing and talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand what you're saying now, because I mean, on YouTube the other day, somebody wrote a comment on one of my videos, and I'm like, I don't know if this is good or bad. So I actually had to copy it, and then I was guessing it was Spanish, and it wasn't. It actually ended up being Portuguese, and I had to put it into like Google Translate, but I had to do it all manually. And you're basically saying you have like an AI bot that basically would automatically translate that into the information that they need, because we are in a society where tons of people talk tons of different languages, right? And I know where I'm located in Greater Vancouver, Canada. I mean, I have lots of customers that are capable of speaking other languages they're more comfortable in, but they will talk English to me because I only talk English, right? So, but I can totally understand, like, if they got sent a survey, they may be more comfortable answering in their native language.
Absolutely. So that's where we give the choice to our clients. So our clients can create surveys in the native languages. For example, if you are in Indonesia, you might not ask surveys in English because people are comfortable with the native language, with Bahasa Indonesia. But to read that entire text of what are they writing, there has to be a smart algorithm which can analyze that textual data without converting into English. So we can read the local dialects, and we can give a summary in the local dialects of what people are talking about, why they're happy, why they're not happy, why they're satisfied. So all of those, that's what ultimately is the differentiator of the platform, which is what we call as text and sentiment analysis.
Nice. So what these surveys are just mainly for, like, customer service, like, so that you can find out, Is it kind of like a generic, how was your service today? How was your experience today? Is there something we could have done different? Or or does every client kind of customize the questions they want asked?
So see what we do, we provide templates which are standard also in nature, but sometimes clients might want to customize their own surveys. So they might not want to use our template, but then they can create their own surveys that they're used to. So they can build their own surveys and they can create that as a template.
Nice.
And of course, different departments on our client side have different requirements. For example, HR team uses our platform for employee survey. Our marketing team uses our platform for marketing services like brand tracking, idea testing, ideation, concept testing. Our customer experience team will use it mainly for net promoter score, customer satisfaction. A product team might use it for UX research or UI research. So that's how the templates have been created by segment type, but people can always choose to create their own templates and they can save their own templates.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice to have that customability. I know for me, I never like just using a template. I like using a template and then finding different ways to modify it and change it. But it's nice to have kind of like a layout and that you can modify and make your own, right?
Yep.
So, you talk about why customer retention is the new acquisition. What is you also talk about the economics of customer retention versus customer retention versus retention. Can you go a little bit more deeper into that?
Yeah, so I think it was possibly a customer retention versus acquisition. I think if you look at most of the companies, I think as the companies got more and more funded, previously the challenge was about acquiring customer. So how do you acquire a customer? But as the competition keeps on increasing and the customer set is limited, beyond a point, new customer acquisition becomes difficult. So what you don't want to have, want to have a leaky bucket that you keep on acquiring customer and they keep on leaking to the competition. So what ultimately, where we believe the game is moving towards is not about acquisition only, but it's also about retention of those customers. So traditionally, I think what I've seen in Asia, a lot of companies are pumping money to acquire customers, be it e-commerce, be it all the digital players, because the penetration was increasing. So people who are using e-wallets or people who are using banks. So previously, I think acquisition was the name of the game, but a lot of companies who did not do a good job in customer experience started understanding that if I just keep on acquiring, I'm not able to retain those customers, then somewhere all the money that I'm pumping in is getting wasted. And that's where the platform like ours comes in. That's where even the CRM systems, they come in. Because you want to understand your customers, you want to understand what they think about you, whether they like your product, whether they like your feature, so that you can fix those elements, whether they like your service, so that you can fix those elements. Because the cost of acquisition is almost 6 times the cost of retention. And I'm glad that a lot of companies in the world have started realizing that it's not about acquiring only, it's also about retaining. And that's where I think all the digital platforms, be it a survey platform, be it a CRM system, be it a chatbot, is becoming more and more relevant nowadays.
Yeah, well, I think what a lot of people forget when we're talking about customer retention is if you take care of your current customers, they are going to recommend you to their friends and family because they're happy with your service. However, if you don't take care of your customers, someone else will. And that's the big thing. Like people ask me, with things that you've done in your own business, what's your hack? Like what is it that you could do? What is it that you're doing different? And I said, well, I actually I care about my customers, right? Like I care about them. I want to make sure that I take care of every single one of them. I want to give all of them the same level of service, whether they spend 10 grand with me or they spend $200 with me. I want to make sure to offer them all the same service and the same experience. And I think a lot of businesses do fall short of this, right? They worry and they focus more on trying to acquire new people because that's the only way that they feel that they can increase their sales is by getting more people, which is very expensive. And I believe me, I've seen my Google Ads bills. So I know it can get expensive because I'm only 2.5 years in with the business. So it's very expensive to acquire new customers as I grow my business. Right. But if you're actually talking about like retention, which is the main focus we are talking about here, you really have to take care of your customers. And I always bring everything down to my values, right? So when I'm talking to my customers, one of our values is continuous improvement. So I always say to them, our big focus is on continuous improvement because we always want to find a way to do better. And if they find that there's something that we're doing wrong, I'd like to know. So we do a follow-up a couple days after the installation just to ask them, hey, is there anything that, that you did like or didn't like regarding that? And do you have any feedback for us? Because as a new company, we rely on continuous improvement. But that's ours. Like we're not using a full survey. That's like our personalized survey we do for that customer. But I mean, what are some tricks or something or something that you're doing to help these companies out with retention?
Yeah, so I think I'll give an example. I think one of the key things which I realized when I was working with the companies, so a lot of these companies were traditionally using a consulting company to understand the customer feedback. And because you will be very surprised when you come to Asia, still people are using face-to-face, pen and paper methodology. So they were getting results after a month. So only after a month, who's happy, who's not happy, which is still very surprising. Or sometimes they're doing a telephonic survey. They're picking up the call, writing that somewhere on a pen and paper or even on the laptop. By the time they're analyzing that data, it takes them a couple of weeks because they're all doing it manually. So once we created this system and we started working with the companies, we started integrating that with the CRM systems. So if they're using Salesforce or Zoho, like the way you're using Zoho, your entire database is sitting there. And once the entire ecosystem is integrated, so the moment somebody, let's take an example of an automotive company, the moment somebody does the after sales service, so you went to a workshop, you finish your servicing with them, the moment you're done with it, a survey goes to you on WhatsApp. So it's not even a telephonic survey because you don't want to pick up the telephones. You don't know from where it's coming from. But WhatsApp can be more personalized in nature. And certainly, say a Nissan sends a WhatsApp survey through us, or a Honda is sending a WhatsApp survey through us. And the moment customer gives a feedback, they can see it live on their screen. Not only that, because we also integrated with the ticketing system, they can see a real time whether Benjamin is happy or not happy. And on a real-time manner, the moment you checked out from the workshop, they get your feedback, they get a ticket, which is called closing the loop, and they can reach out to you on a real-time basis. So the days where somebody is analyzing the data after a month is slowly going away because now everything is moving on a real-time basis. And this is how we are helping our customers. So be it a bank, be it an e-commerce company, be it automotive companies, so that entire customer journey has been mapped. The moment a brand or customer is interacting with a brand or a service, a survey goes to them on WhatsApp. They give the feedback. Client looks at the feedback real time. They look at a ticket gets raised depending upon the feedback that you give, which goes to the customer support team, and they're able to close the ticket on a real time basis. So they can reach out to the Benjamin on almost live. Sorry, sir, you just checked out from the workshop. We saw that you've given a bad rating. What exactly went wrong? And you can say, the person who was doing the workshop is very rude to you, or whatever it was. So all of those things are now being done in a real-time manner because we have got tools and we have got the AI capabilities, which was not there possibly 3 or 4 years back. And something like that has benefited our client big time. It has helped them to save cost by 80%. You will be shocked and surprised. The cost saving is as much as 80% towards what they were doing before. They were previously sending emails or telephonic survey. Now their response rate from 2% has gone up to 35% because there's a WhatsApp survey. And of course, everything is real time. So this is how companies are utilizing some of these platforms to improve their customer experience and possibly retain better.
So I'm very big on having feedback coming in to the company. I think it helps companies grow. The only thing like that I want to bring up is I hope if companies are planning to use like a service like SurveySensum or using any kind of service like this, that they understand that this is a tool to help them develop their team. So just because you get like a bad review because, you know, David gave bad service selling the BMW or whatever, right? It shouldn't be, hey, we need to fire this guy because we got a bad review. It should be, what's going on with our systems and processes that caused this to happen? Did we maybe not support David? Did we maybe not train him properly? Did we, you know what I mean? Was it maybe we should have matched a different salesperson to match the communication behavior with that customer? You know, there should be an analysis of the people who are taking this information. And as long as that's being done, then I think it's for the greater good and success of the company. Now, at the other end, if you get 3 bad reviews on David, maybe it's time for David to look for a new job somewhere else. But that's a whole different conversation, right? I'm very big on having this information because we've been in, you know, a lot, you know, like for instance, like in the networking group I'm in, someone posts again last night that I got like a 1-star review. How do I get rid of it? And I have a whole different thinking. You know, if you get a 1-star review, it sucks. Like it does suck. But what did you do that possibly caused that 1-star review? You know, was there something you did? Was there a breakdown in your systems and processes? You know, maybe you delivered the product and it was bad. Or maybe they went somewhere to get servicing and that place said that they installed it wrong. But maybe you didn't install it wrong, but that person told them that. So they're sour, even though you didn't do anything wrong. But you don't know unless you dive in and find out what happened. And I like that I don't have any 1-star reviews yet. And I really don't want to have any 1-star reviews. But I also feel that, you know, I have 1 3-star review and I have 121 reviews. I have 1 3-star, 1 4-star, and 119 5-stars. And that 3-star review, even though the person wrote nothing, I analyzed everything that took place in that transaction and said, you know, if I change my systems and processes and I change this and change that and change this, I'm going to make it so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. I don't know if you guys, because I know you also do consulting. So I don't know if that's something on like the consulting side that maybe you assist these businesses with how to analyze the data.
We do. So we create the entire CX program with our customers, where, you know, things like what you mentioned. So I think educating on that element, working with the CX heads, and ensuring that these things are properly communicated. So, you know, sometimes people can get scared that they're getting measured.
Oh yeah.
Right. But the idea, I think that's where empowerment of the CX manager or CX head becomes very, very powerful from the board. That we are measuring it not to penalize it, we are measuring it to improve. Yeah. So I think a communication from top down becomes very important. That why company is doing it, what benefit they will draw out of it becomes very, very important. So I think that's why I think the entire CX program implementation becomes very important. And not to scare people that they're getting measured. I think I can tell you, even in our own organization, 4 years back when we started measuring what our clients think about us, our managers were scared. Our servicing managers were scared because, you know, every customer success manager thought that we are evaluating how they're performing. But over time, I think I personally had to communicate to all my customer success managers that it is only for their betterment. It's not that I want to fire them, that's why I'm measuring it. It's only that if we do better, they do better, their client will do better, their customers will do better, and ultimately the entire ecosystem will get a boost. We will also understand where are we missing, what softwares we are missing, what processes we are missing. I think it takes a lot to implement a good CX program, but I believe it again goes from the top in terms of communicating it, driving it. You cannot just leave people at executive level to drive it. I think a board stand should be there to drive it and communicate it properly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense what you're saying. And it's good to get that negative feedback, especially early on. And a big thing that I always tell people is your customers are always speaking to you. It's whether or not you listen.
Yeah.
Right. So you can, and we are in a free market society, at least, I mean, and so realistically, we have a choice to spend our money wherever we want to. So if we've had a bad experience at, let's say, a BMW dealership, and we no longer want to buy a BMW because just it was a bad experience and nobody did anything to correct it or take care of me, then maybe I'm going to spend my money at the Mercedes dealership now, right? Because they took care of me, they've given me a different experience. But if you're not open to taking that feedback and growing, then people will automatically flock and spend their money somewhere else. And that's why I'm very big on taking that feedback. And I think it's great that you're helping develop programs like this for companies, because a lot of companies need to have that feedback, and then they have to figure out how we're going to dissect that information, how we're going to use that information in order to change our whole customer experience. And especially when you're dealing with these big corporations, like I know you have some pretty big companies listed here, right? It's not like an easy process, right? Like, for them to go, wow, we're doing this wrong as a company. It's not like they just flick a switch and tomorrow they change everything. I mean, someone's got to go write all the systems and processes that they're changing and implement it. There needs to be training. Like I have a lot of CX consultants that come on here and they say, you have to train and build the culture that you want customer experience over and over and over again. And I would say a lot of car dealerships I deal with, they work hard on trying to get feedback from the customer because they want to know what's going on. And I do know some of them rate people's bonuses on that. I don't agree with that, but that's my opinion, because I do feel that it is more of a learning curve in order to help them educate and get better and raise their game and their customer experience for people.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the moment you link all of these elements, that your net promoter score should be this to get a bonus of this, somehow, then people get very defensive. And in my opinion, the bonuses should not be linked. It should be overall a goal of the company that I want to be a better in terms of my servicing. I want to get a better net promoter score. I want to know areas where I can improve, not because I want to get more bonus, just because I want to deliver better to my customers.
Yeah. So I got a good story here. So when I used to work at Best Buy, I worked there for about 4.5 years. Best Buy, I don't know for sure if you're familiar with Best Buy. They're a very big electronics company, right? And so anyways, I used to work there, and they used to ask us these 12 questions. About every 6 months, they did this thing, and it was part of their what they call viewpoint committee. So all the employees would get asked these 12 questions. These 12 questions would basically rate the culture of the store. Stuff like, do you have the tools and equipment needed to do your job every day? Do you have a best friend at work? They had a lot of these questions they would ask. And the bonus structure for the management team was linked towards this. And they couldn't really fudge it because there's 100 people in the store. And 100 people have to take this, and they can say whatever they want on a scale of 1 to 5, right? But amazingly enough, with 100 employees, they usually finished at like anywhere from a 4.1 to a 4.8 out of 5 on an overall score, which is actually pretty good when you think about 100 employees in your store.
Yeah.
You're obviously doing something right to keep the majority of the staff engaged. But
Yep.
you have templates, you have these surveys, you're helping everybody out. What other tools do you help companies out with in terms of like customer experience and customer service?
Yeah. So see, as a company, I think, of course, what I mentioned to you was a platform that we have. But I think it's not just a platform. We help them because we've got a big tech team. We help them to design the entire integration program. So I think first of all, I think journey mapping becomes very important. That on what touch points your customers are interacting with you, and how are they interacting with you, and how are you collecting that data? So somebody might be having a social media platform, right? Somebody might be having a chat bot. Somebody might be utilizing a CRM systems. And somebody might be having 2 or 3 different CRM systems. Might be a CRM for sales, might be different to after sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have seen typically those issues because not everybody is evolved to a level that they're able to take one CRM system and migrate towards that. Because sometimes companies which are traditional, pre-sales CRMs are different, sales are different, after sales are different. But understanding that entire ecosystem and then ensuring that our platform is sitting in the center and is able to do a API and integration with all of these systems together, so that this entire touch points can be recorded, or the feedback from entire touch points can be recorded and can go into a single dashboard. That becomes the most important part in terms of designing and implementation, which can even take close to 3 to 6 months if they've got a lot of complex environments. Plus, on top of that, the CX program that I talked about. But this tech integration is something I think which can take typically 3 to 6 months with any organization, depending upon the complexity. So you can now understand how complex. At the face of it just sounds like a survey feedback, but it's not just. We don't believe in you just uploading the database manually, because then you cannot analyze. If you just upload it manually, you're not integrating with the Slack, you're not integrating with your CRM system, then you cannot understand who's happy, who's not happy. But if you're just blindly uploading the database and shooting out, then you're only getting aggregated data. And that aggregated data is not actionable. You have to have the unique ID and unique link attached to every individual. And further, once the feedback comes back, it gets pushed back into their CRM system. Now every ID, their CLVs, you also know their feedback. And that's where the entire modeling exercise happens. That who are these customers, their CLVs, who is happy, who is not happy. And of course, for every company, if they've got, say, 1 million customers, might be 300,000 of them are dissatisfied, then they cannot prioritize all 300,000 at once. Now, if 30% of them are unhappy, then they will go back and look at their CLVs within the CRM systems. And the first one that they want to prioritize are always the ones which are giving them the higher life value. So that's how the entire priority matrix gets designed by the organizations along with us, that who you reach out first in terms of prioritization. Because, if you've got only thousands of them, easy. If you've got millions of them, then you have to come again, create a prioritization matrix, which goes back to, again, company looks at their own ROI and see, which person I can move up in the CLV chain. And that's how the entire prioritization is done along with us and the organization.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, a lot of these companies you're helping are getting instant feedback, right?
Yeah.
Like very quick. And what blows me away is just like, I think about how it used to be, and it used to be a piece of paper and they'd fill it out with their name and their phone number and their email address and, rate our service 1 to 5, and they, write a 3 or whatever, right? And then fold it and put it in the Dropbox, right? And then somebody a month later or 2 months later would go, oh, we need you to take these and enter them into an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then they'd enter it all into the Excel spreadsheet. Then it gets emailed to a manager. Then the manager reviews it. Now you're like 3 months later. And really, everybody could have been mad about a flyer that took place 3 months ago. But you don't have that information because you don't even know for sure the date of when this happened. While with what you guys are doing, you're getting very like, almost like live feedback, which is probably, I'm assuming, probably within 24 hours of their purchase, they're probably giving some sort of feedback very quickly, and that they can then react on, like, oh, you know what, our I don't know, employee pricing sale or whatever that we got going on right now. People are seeing through the cracks. It's the same price as it always is. So, you know what, we thought we were doing that, but obviously they're seeing it as being misleading, or it could be, hey, you know what? The last couple of places they went to, they used to get a full demo of everything working on the vehicle for like half an hour, where the windshield wiper switch is, all that kind of stuff. And it looks like we've dropped the ball and all we're doing is giving them the keys and going, have a good day. Right.
Yeah.
So it's great that they're getting that, because they can take action very quickly to try and modify the behaviors or their systems and processes.
That's correct. I think that's exactly is where we are moving towards. But I think in Asia, what we are also seeing this, it's a lot of education. Because people are used to collecting, like the way you mentioned, right? They're used to traditional way of doing things. And suddenly, if you introduce a new thing, not everybody wants to build the cat. Some people who want to take risk and they want to try something new, they will say yes. But some people who are a bit risk averse, they will say, let me just think about it. Let me see how others are doing it. So I think that's where some of the inertia happens in individuals that I've seen. That inertia can be because now you're measuring me more often, you're measuring my performance more often, you're measuring it real time. So those can be where the entire inertia sometimes comes in, which is why I said, getting a CEO buy-in is the most important thing in these programs. Because if it comes from the top, it has a lot of weightage attached to it. If it comes from the bottom, they're always worried, my bonuses are linked, my performance will be measured more often, so on and so forth. So I think that's where I think getting to the top and getting that buy-in becomes extremely important. And that's why I'm a big advocate that the CX head should be sitting in the board of directors, which unfortunately is not the case right now in Asia. You normally see a sales head in a BOD or a marketing head, right? But you normally don't see a CX head being a part of the BOD. Or sometimes CX head, they're reporting to the marketing head, while eventually they should be reporting into the CEO. Because if you want more voice of the customer programs to be implemented, there has to be bigger influence from a CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's what the education is moving towards. Yeah.
Well, because when you look at it, most of these companies, if they're dealing with customer experience, for instance, right? And you look at something like my business, right? Or anybody's business, most people, when times get tough, the first thing they do is try and cut out the customer experience because they just see it as an expense.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the long-term commitment to helping customers out and taking care of them and building that relationship. They're looking at it as, well, this costs us $1,000 a month or whatever the number is. I'm just throwing a number out there, right? And it doesn't bring us anything.
Yeah.
Right. But, these tires at the dealership cost us $10,000 a month. We sell them for 20 grand and we make $10,000 profit. Plus we make the technician labor from when they install it. So for them, it's measurable. It's a lot easier for them to measure that. And I think that's the problem that a lot of like these upper executives or CEOs have, is they look at it going like, how do I measure this? I'm spending, 5-10 grand a month or whatever on customer experience and surveys and trying to take care of people. but where am I getting my return?
Yeah,
Right? Would you agree there? Yeah.
I do. I mean, that's why when I work with clients, I give them example. I mean, if you look at even Amazon, why Amazon has become Amazon is it's just not because they've built awareness, but they've created a fantastic customer experience. I'll give an example from India. The other day, I wanted to buy a mask. That was almost a year back. I ordered, I thought, okay, let me try a good local company. I tried the mask. I didn't like it. I wanted to return it. They refused. They said, sorry, if it doesn't fit you, it's your issue. But I said, but I, I normally buy from Amazon. This time I thought I'll try from you guys. But they return it. Why don't you return it? And the moment I said, they returned, they said, okay, let me talk to my manager. And they came back to me after a couple of days and they eventually returned it. But I have to use the name of their competitor. But if the same thing happens to Amazon, that I call them and say, no, sorry, guys, I don't like this, because the book that I ordered was torn, they will say, okay, I refund your money, you keep that book also with you. And that's how, I know there's a bit of burn attached to it, but that's how my loyalty towards a brand like Amazon has significantly gone up. Because there's a feeling which is attached to it that this is your company. It's not your company at the end of the day, but you feel like you can exchange it even better versus a shop that you go normally physically. They might not do it, but on Amazon will do it. And I think that's how the brands have been built, not only with the visibility, but with the great customer experience. And other story which comes to my mind, which I also tell that to my clients, that why you have to think like that. I mean, 12 years back, when the customer experience was relatively new as a term, I flew by Singapore Airlines and the connecting flight got delayed. And they gave around $100 voucher because the connecting flight was delayed for 3 hours. And 12, 14 years back, $100 meant some money. And of course, I was very junior at that point of time. So $100 food vouchers meant something. And I was so amazed. And that story of Singapore Airlines giving you $100 voucher because it got delayed for only for 2 hours, it got stuck in my mind. And from that day, possibly that airline has become my favorite airline to travel by. So that's how possibly you can create loyalties with great customer retention and circulating those stories. And I've told you that story. I've told this story to thousands of my friends, and that's a love for the brand.
Yeah.
And believe me, that local company that I was talking to you from where I ordered the mask, I never use them again in my life. They become better, they become bigger. I said, I'm sorry, you lost me forever.
Yeah. And they might take your feedback of what took place and said, hey, how can we better our systems and processes, or how can we better our return experience? Right. And I mean, I look at all sorts of different things, right, when it comes to with the customer experience, right? And just trying to figure out if there's better ways to do certain things every time, constantly learning from every time I do a podcast as well, trying to give my feedback to whoever I'm interviewing, and also at the same time hoping to absorb something in from everybody I'm talking to, because I'm always trying to find a different way to help customers out and create a different customer experience. So it's very important that we're always learning. And I mean, just like people, you would hope that companies will change and adapt. Otherwise, they were going to become extinct. Right?
That's correct. Yeah. I think it's not only a matter of capturing a rating, but implementing that back to the ecosystem, that if somebody is given a bad score, is a ticket getting generated, which goes to the customer support. So one option is just collecting a rating and just keeping it there. Second is that whether that system is talking to your other systems, which goes ultimately to customer support team, and they're reaching out in terms of the improvement. So to me, I think as we move forward with more digital connection, that the entire ecosystem talking to each other becomes very, very important.
Yeah, it's great. Do you have any final words of wisdom or anything you'd like to bring up?
No, I hope that, the world constantly keeps on waking up towards improvement of customer experience, because as we were talking about, right? I mean, with inflation, things will become tougher. Penetrations of customers to a category will not keep on increasing. The population might be relatively limited to fight with, and I believe customer experience might be the name of the game. We used to always talk about 4 P's of marketing: product, place, price, positioning, which took a shape. But I believe now customer experience is sitting in the center, because when you become parity with a lot of other things, can you better your customer experience and still charge more money? People might not just go out. People will still stick with you if you give them a great experience.
Yeah, I truly believe that. So how would anybody get a hold of you? How would they get in contact with you?
They can write to me on LinkedIn. My profile is there. My name is Rajiv Lamba. So they can search me on LinkedIn, and I'm there, very active on LinkedIn. That's one way of reaching out to me.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes as well on how to get in touch with you.
Sure.
So
thank you.
I appreciate you coming on today. This is a great conversation. And thanks a lot.
Thanks for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.